Sound, Mind, and Body is brought to you in part by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/inbound. You'll find over 180,000 titles to choose from and to listen to through your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Support Sound, Mind, and Body by visiting audibletrial.com/inbound.
Hello and welcome to Sound, Mind, and Body, a podcast where we talk about how to stay healthy, balanced, and well of mind, body, and spirit in today's crazy world with a dash of woo-woo. I'm your host, Sheila Melody, and today we're kicking off the first of our life coach series. I have personally had several different types of life coaches in the past few years, and each one has had a different style and has taught me and helped me in different ways to better myself and my life. And today's guest is one of my coaches, and I'm so happy to have her on the podcast. She is an acclaimed success and business mindset coach, a certified thinking into results consultant with the Proctor Gallagher Institute, an author, an inspirational speaker, and has a background in spiritual psychology, neuroscience, and metaphysics. Welcome, Barbara Daoust.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a joy to be here.
It's so wonderful to have you here, Barbara.
Thank
you. I took Barbara's course earlier this year, the Thinking into Results course. It was a 12-week course, and I have to tell everybody who's listening that is probably why you are listening to me do this podcast right now, because it gave me the tools and the action steps and whatever I needed to actually make this dream that I had a reality, I have to say.
Fantastic. You're doing it.
And to have Barbara's wonderful voice like guiding me through the whole thing was great.
Here you are, right? Unbelievable, but it's happening.
It is happening. Yeah. And it really did start with, the title of that particular course that you teach is Thinking into Results. So it's all about what you're thinking and how you make these things that you're thinking about, how do you make them become real? But let's first start with your story. What led you? You're an author. Your book is called True Love, True Self, A Journey to Self-Love. So let's start there, Barbara. What led you to write that book?
Well, I have a master's in directing from UCLA, and I also spent 25 years in the entertainment business. So I had a theater company in San Francisco, and that was my path for a very, very long time until I lost my husband suddenly 2 months before our 25th wedding anniversary.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. And so it was a very devastating time for me. And then I lost 4 more very, very close friends and family members right after that. And so I spiraled, and I spiraled down into a very dark night of the soul, they say.
I can imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was challenging, and I didn't have tools. I had never had experience with depression in my life. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have any tools as to what to do, how to deal with my feelings, my grief, and my devastating life change, because my world just took a 180-degree turn.
In a very short period of time,
In a very short period of time, yeah. He was diagnosed and gone within 3 weeks.
Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So all my dreams, all my hopes, all my retirement plans, everything that we had, designed together.
Your whole life.
My whole life just kind of evaporated.
Yeah.
And I had an acting academy at the time, and I was doing a lot of private coaching in the entertainment business. I coached a lot of celebrities on TV and film sets. And I just wasn't in a mental place to deal and cope with that responsibility. So I closed down my academy and I shut down my private practice, and I went on a journey.
Wow.
So, and that journey was really to find myself, because what I learned was that it took losing the love of my life to find out that I didn't know how to love myself.
Oh my gosh.
So
that is profound.
Yeah, it was very challenging. And at the same time, it led me, to realize that I was living my life from the outside in. I was seeking approval outside of myself. And no matter what, I was never enough. It was never good enough. And what I realized was that the codependency that I had with my late husband was that he valued me more than I valued myself.
I see.
But I didn't know that. I had to learn that. And so I set out on a journey, and I studied spiritual psychology at the University of Santa Monica with no intention of coaching, absolutely no intention, just to heal myself. And I started to learn tools, techniques, processes on how to cope with my inner reality. And from there, I certified in a quantum success coaching academy where I had no intention of coaching. It's just, I had to start working with people in order to be certified. And I started seeing results in my friends, in my prospects that were volunteering, to be my clients at the time. And I started thinking, oh my gosh, people are having results and people need to know this information. And a lot of the information had to do with dealing with the inner world and dealing with your thinking, your feelings, and your actions. And it wasn't until I certified as a thinking into results consultant with Bob Proctor, my mentor, that my life started having major results, outstanding results. I doubled my practice and tripled my income in less than a year. And I saw that there were things in this program that I hadn't learned in the previous 5-6 years that I was really on this investigation of finding myself. I studied neuroscience for 5 to 6 years, really dove into metaphysics. But it's, where you're at and meeting the teacher at the right time.
Right.
So I think it had great impact. And the thing that Bob's program helped me combine was business and spirituality. And
that is a big thing because I've also been on a spiritual path. I didn't go as deep as taking a spiritual psychology course or any of these things that you've done, but you finally get to the place where you're like, how can I make these things actually manifest or become real? And that has to do with, business or a more practical side of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And also just making decisions, It's once I finally decided that, I'm going to start coaching,
Right.
Because
did you write your book while you were going through this whole process or did you?
Yeah.
Thank
you for bringing me back to the book. It was after I finished the certification in the quantum success program, I decided that I wanted to leave a legacy to my late husband. And it was taking our journey together and looking at some of the gifts, in the loss and going through the grieving process. So I talk about, our lives together, and then life after losing him. And then the latter part of the book is about processes and exercises that helped me to move on and to move forward in my life.
Right. Yeah.
So,
what was just a very quick little side story about your book. While I was taking your course, one of my very good friends from back in Illinois came to visit me. And your book was sitting around my house. And while she was waiting for me to do certain things or get ready or whatever, she just picked it up and started reading it. And now she had recently lost her mother, who she was very close to. And she started reading that book. And I swear it was meant to be there for her. It was so strange. She really, it really helped her. It helped her to get through that time period in her life. And so when she was leaving to go back, I said, well, I'm going to buy you this book because I shipped it to her, and it's one of her favorite books. Oh. And the other thing about it was the whole thing about the butterfly on the front, because her mom, it was one of those things after she passed away, she would see butterflies, she and her brother. And so that had a big meaning to her too. So it was a very special, I saw it work its magic.
Oh, great. Great. Thank you for sharing that. It's a synchronicity, and I share in my book how I started to move forward in my life when I made a decision to start listening more and being guided more, which meant synchronicities and signs. And, I'll share a little bit about some of the woo-woo stuff that happened, at that time. But that's really how I started to go through the transformation and then through the change, by listening to these signs that were coming to me.
And you feel like you became more aware of them as you were going deeper into learning about, taking these courses and getting certified and looking within, right? That's when you started to notice things. That's what the thing is. It's like, I think they're always there, but we're just living in this like bubble, you know?
Yeah.
And we're not aware.
Well, and it's also skepticism.
Yes.
Right? So that I kept getting signs and I kept saying, it's not enough, show me more. But that was part of my my personality.
Right.
My personality is very, very curious, and I'm forever learning and forever evolving and expressing, so that something would show me an answer, but I'd say, okay, that's great. Now what? What's next? I want another. I need more. I need more. I'm not going to believe until I see more.
Right.
And show me this, show me that. And I'd be shown. And then I'd go, but I need more. I need more. I don't believe.
That is so true. So when, and then you started helping some friends just by process of getting your certification, just for your own well-being. And when you met Bob Proctor, when did you decide to say, okay, I want to, do this course and become and what was different about that course?
Bob has a way of persuasion.
Yes.
And he's very inspiring.
He is,
and motivating, right? But he touched upon 3 key areas that made so much sense to me that I hadn't really heard before. And that's part of, the program. And there were these 3 components that no matter what I had read, no matter what program I had been in, these 3 components were not present, or I didn't have as much awareness around them. I was more a deer in the headlights when it came to business or money or monetizing, let's say, and that this program, the Thinking into Results program, is really about digging deep into self-worth, self-value, and the exchange of currency, the exchange of energy in the world, And it starts with that very, very first lesson, if you recall.
Was that the establishing a worthy goal?
Yeah.
I have to say, that was one of the most, the whole course is very profound, and it definitely switched the way that I think about things forever. But a worthy goal, you think about, what is a goal? I want to, buy a house, or I want to redecorate my house, or I want to start this podcast, or I want to, and do you want to explain what the difference is between just a typical goal and what he calls a worthy goal?
Right. So the way that it's explained, and the way I explain it to my clients, is that there are A-type goals, B-type goals, and C-type goals. And an A-type goal is a goal that you already know how to do. Right. And so the growth in that is lateral.
There's no growth.
There's really no growth.
You've already done it.
And
exactly. You know how to do it.
Exactly.
And you believe that you know how to do it.
Right. There's no fear. It's just you plod and you make it more like a SMART goal, right? That's something that is maybe a 5% increase or, a 10% increase in income. And then there are B-type goals, which are goals that you already kind of have figured out how to do. You know a way to do it, and so those kinds of goals, you'll start and be excited, but you'll lose your excitement and enthusiasm halfway through. It just doesn't have the punch. Right? Because you got it figured out, and then you get bored, or you get lazy, or the procrastinator in you starts to make all kinds of excuses, right? Or the perfectionist. I'm a recovering perfectionist, so I really, really know.
Recovering perfectionist. I love it.
Yeah, I really know.
I need to go to perfectionist, therapy or whatever you call it.
Yeah. It's, it's really a big part of procrastination. And so a C-type goal is a goal that you really don't know how to get.
You have no idea really how you just don't really know what, but you're like, man, if I could have anything, I'd love this.
Exactly. And it's something that scares you and excites you at the same time.
Right.
And so when you arrive at that, worthy ideal, your ideal goal. And when you make a decision to be committed, it has to be a committed decision, because as soon as you make it and you decide that you're going for it, immediately, bam, fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, everything is going to kick in to stop you.
That is so true.
Right, from having that dream, that goal. And the point of the goal, it's not about achieving it. The real point is about growing.
Growing because you're not going to grow unless you have something that you're doing that you've never done before.
Exactly, right? Because then you get to meet the parts of yourself you've never met before.
Yeah, and even the thought of that is exciting to me. It makes me feel good and, like enthusiastic.
Yeah, and it's what you need is the enthusiasm, right, and the excitement. But then what starts to happen with most people is, again, the fear, the doubt, the worry, what are called our paradigms. Paradigms.
The paradigms. That's the other thing that when I first spoke to you on the phone before I started the course, I think that was the key concept that I thought, yes, I want to change the paradigm I have been living in. I'm living in this paradigm and I want it to be different. I know there's different out there, and I want to just get out of this paradigm that I'm living in.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. And that's the other part of the program that I had never heard any other program really discuss paradigms to the degree that Bob has taught me.
Right.
And the way that he shares it. And so a paradigm is a multitude of fixed ideas stuck in the subconscious mind that create our habits.
Our habits,
right?
Yes.
And so we are a compilation. Our personalities are a compilation of our habits. And so we'll just daily be stuck on autopilot.
Right.
Right. And unless we get out of autopilot, again, if we go for something that we already know how to do, we're going to keep doing it with the same consciousness that created it.
Right. Yeah.
So
exactly.
We have to start using our higher mental faculties, which is also part of the program, so that we can use our imagination. And then there's also the concept of masterminding, so that you're surrounded by people who are like-minded people and they have ideas as well. And then your consciousness starts to shift, right? You start to get ideas from other people and you're not looking at your problem with just your set of eyes, just with your own experience.
Right.
And so surrounding yourself with like-minded people, releasing the negative Nellies in your life.
Negative Nellies.
And the David Downers.
The Debbie Downers. Yeah.
I had to put David in there because it was always referring to women.
To women, you're right. It's always negative.
Like negative Nellie and Debbie Downer. It's like, well, no, it's David Downer.
Yeah, right? That's a good one.
So, but so that's where in the paradigm work, when you start to identify what the program does that's amazing is you don't have to go into therapizing. You don't have to go into your story. You don't have to go into my mom, my dad, my ex, my children. It's really about just identifying your patterns and your behaviors and consciously creating deliberately new actions that you are going to make a decision to cross that infamous, you know what I'm going to say?
Oh, yes. But hold your thought.
Okay.
Because we're going to take a quick break for a commercial. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about, dun, 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 the terror barrier. On the next episode of Sound, Mind, and Body, I talked to empowerment coach Andrea Quinn.
Here's the issue with a lot of people, especially women, is that you find that we're only comfortable sharing where we have pain together. Here's where I'm not good. Oh, me too. And so we're really comfortable in who we're not.
Yeah.
Instead of being so grateful for who we are. You know, it's almost like that Harry Met Sally. When a woman is super confident and she loves who she is in that moment, I'm like, I'll have what she's having. You know, I want to be around that. I want to be around that person that is so safe within her own power that I'm safe just because I'm with her. And that's power.
That's next week on Sound, Mind, and Body.
Hey, it's Tim Edwards with the Inbound Podcasting Network and producer of Sound, Mind, and Body. Just the fact that you're listening to the Sound, Mind, and Body podcast tells us that you enjoy consuming your content through your ears. Now, if you're a podcast listener, you're a perfect fit to enjoy audiobooks. So for you, our listeners and official members of Sheila's woo-woo community, Audible is offering you a free audiobook download and a free 30-day trial to check out their awesome service. Look, I'll be honest, I hate reading, always have. I'm a very slow reader, and I don't have the time to just sit down and read a book. So, like you, I've always loved consuming my content through listening. I've been an Audible customer for several years, and as a result, on average, consume about 20 to 25 books a year. In other podcasts the Inbound Podcasting Network produces, we've interviewed authors like Dr. Martin Gabala, who penned The 1 Minute Workout, and Dr. Sylvia Tara, who wrote The Secret Life of Fat. Both are very informative for those who are looking to get in shape and to stay in shape, and both are available with Audible. Give it a shot. You've got nothing to lose. It's absolutely free for 30 days, and you get a free audiobook to keep even if you don't continue with the subscription. Support Sound, Mind, and Body by visiting audibletrial.com/inbound. That's audibletrial.com/inbound. We'll include a link in the show notes, or just click the Audible banner at soundmindbodypodcast.com.
Okay, we're back and we're talking to acclaimed success and business mindset coach, Barbara Daoust. So before we took the break, we introduced the concept of the terror barrier. And this is something I learned when I took your Thinking into Results course. And I got to tell you that I still think about it every day. I'm not kidding. Mm-hmm. Can I just tell my experience with this? Before I knew what the hell it was, right? Because this was something we were going to learn on the next, the next episode, the next chapter. And so I went home and we were doing all these things. I was coming up with action steps and the worthy goal and everything. And I was getting all excited about my life. And oh my gosh, I'm going to do all these great things and thinking about it every day. And then one Sunday, because I would see you on Mondays, one Sunday I was sitting there. My son was out of town. He was, in Vegas or something. I don't know. Anyway, I suddenly got this horrible feeling overcome me. This horrible feeling of, oh my God, something bad's going to happen to Michael. Oh my God. It was literally like, I thought, is this intuition? Is something terrible happening to him? So I texted him, make sure he texts me back. And I was really like physically affected by this feeling. And I thought, oh, okay, all right, stop. And I had to kind of read out loud my affirmations that I had developed in my whole story. And I was like reading it out loud and trying to get that into my head and think about good things instead of this horrible feeling I had. So the next day I go to class and we start to talk about the terror barrier. And I went, oh my God, that's what it was. So explain what happened to me. I know it's funny when you think about it.
Right. Well, and it happens to all of us, right? So, I'm even at a place where, chaos doesn't just go away and disappear.
Right.
Every time I set a new worthy ideal, the paradigms kick in, chaos happens, and I'm, taking a shower and I'm crying, going, boo-hoo, Something good's going to happen. Something good is going to happen, because I know that change is up and I know that all the paradigms are going to want to prevent it, right? Because what happens is that the subconscious mind does not like change. We resist change. On a conscious level, we say we want change. But then everything inside on a deeper subconscious level, the parts that already know the comfort zone, start to freak out and just start to say, no, stop, because subconscious mind doesn't like the unknown, the unfamiliar, So we have different parts of our brain, actually, from the reptilian brain and the midbrain, and then, we've got the neocortex. But when we're really in our ego mind or subconscious mind, we're trying to prevent anything from threatening us, or we're looking for danger, right? So as soon as you have a new idea and it enters your conscious mind, it's just an idea, right? It's just, maybe, or I like this idea, or I'm, going to contemplate this idea. But it's just on a thought level. But in the program, what we do, right, the exercises are designed to help you start to get excited, enthusiastic, to start dreaming about what happens if you have this dream, right, come true.
What's life going to look like and feel like.
And feel like, right? So then it starts to drop down into the subconscious area, which deals much more with the feeling place.
Right.
Okay. And when you start getting into feeling excited and enthusiastic, that new idea is, think of it as a Y, the letter Y.
Okay.
And think of it as that's the new idea, Y. But what exists in the subconscious mind is the X idea, the old self, what it already knows. And then as you get excited, you see subconscious mind interprets language into pictures. And when you start to get excited with pictures, you're going to start creating a frequency and a vibration, which just means a feeling that comes deeper into fusing with your desire at a subconscious level. And now you have your Y idea and your old self, the X, in the subconscious mind. And they are two different vibrations. They're two different frequencies.
I see, yeah.
So X is saying to Y, get out of here, buddy.
Get out of here.
Right?
I'm going to scare you out of here.
I'm going to scare you out of here. And Y is saying to X, no way, you're not going to win. I'm going to win. So a war starts happening inside, right? And so X is trying to conquer Y. Y is trying to there's like this boxing match going on inside, and it drops down into the body as a frequency and as a feeling, which usually creates anxiety. And that anxiety is just X and Y going after one another, and it's a battle with the old self and the new self.
Well, see, now I know that when I start to feel that way, and if I'm kind of on top of it, I go, oh, this means that I'm making progress, actually.
That's it.
That's
right.
If all of a sudden I start to feel like this horrible, like you said, the chaos and the whatever, you're like, oh, okay, I'm making some progress here.
Exactly.
Just keep going.
It's fear equals growth.
Fear equals growth.
And if highly successful people are constantly out of their comfort zone, and highly successful people form the habits of doing things that unsuccessful people don't want to do.
That is true.
So it's like living with a certain level of discomfort or uncertainty, but willingness. Are you willing and are you able? Do you just go ahead and do it anyway? And so to get through the terror barrier, it's about do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And if you hit the wall, you're going to bounce back to what you already know. You're going to make excuses, justifications. Whenever you're in an excuse, a justification, a rationalization, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, it's a paradigm. And you're not going to create the change you want to see in your life because you're going to still create with the consciousness that you already have.
Right. Exactly.
And you're not going to get a new result.
Yeah.
So that's why this is called thinking into results. You start with the thoughts, you move those thoughts into the feeling place, and that feeling place is what's creating the frequency in order to create the action. Then it's creating inspired action.
Right.
Because inspired action is when you're in spirit. And remember, fear is false evidence appearing real. And
fear, I like that.
Yeah. Fear is usually from the ego mind, and the ego mind deals with basic survival.
Right. Right. So basic survival versus, let's change the paradigm and, so go toward the fear, walk through the fear.
Yeah.
But this is what the course that I took with you gave me those. Well, you have to, it's so important to meet with somebody every week, because then things start to move and things start to change, and then you're getting busy, and that's what's been happening, and I'm doing things and things are happening. And then it's like, now I got to go to another worthy goal. I've got to get a grip on this now, and I got to keep moving on. So let's talk about what your latest new offering is, what you've been doing, and what I just did with you too in October, the Genius Code.
Yes.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. And also, for people who are interested in thinking into results or in my mastermind groups, it's really about, again, that piece of accountability.
Right.
Right. I've had people do the program 10 times.
Right.
And
because you can keep going and growing and doing new things and accomplishing new things.
Exactly. And also we fall back. We think we know, and then we forget. We think we know. I forget.
Yeah.
I'm like going, oh my gosh, how many years have I done this? And I still need reminders. We need daily reminders. And the good thing about the programs that I facilitate, and even the Genius Code program, it's about committing on a daily level.
Right.
Committing to rewiring the neural pathways in your brain. Thinking into results is a neuroprogramming, rewiring of the brain, because you're daily doing the work, you're daily doing the exercises, you're daily repeating your goal statement, you're daily, rewiring. And the only way to start creating a new belief, a belief is just a thought that we have over and over and over again, that we accept as the truth. And to create a new belief, you have to keep thinking
thinking it
over and over and over and over and over again until you accept that as the truth.
Yeah.
And then you start to elevate, right? And so, I've got groups coming up in January where I'm forming mastermind groups, and I'm forming more thinking into results groups. And so people can always reach out to me to find out about if they can, join a group.
Yeah, we'll be putting your, it's barbaradoust.com. We'll be putting all the links to your, how to get in touch with Barbara and how to sign up with a group in the show notes. And then our website will be coming up within the next couple weeks too.
Great.
But it will be in the show notes.
Fantastic, because the new year is when we want to start really kicking off, right?
Now just briefly, before you go into the Genius Code, what's the difference between Mastermind Group and the Thinking into Results?
Well, the Mastermind Group is where I facilitate Bob Proctor's book, You Were Born Rich. And that's where people start to understand more about the philosophy of the work, and where people start to understand that what they're responsible for in their lives, especially their thinking.
Right. Okay.
And then the Thinking into Results program is more, we get together in a mastermind group, but it's an actual program that lays out an action plan. So it's much more action oriented.
You have the workbook, and you do homework and
the videos.
Yes, and the videos,
and so it's daily repetition. And I'd say the You Were Born Rich group is, you meet once a week, and so, and you read a chapter a week, and we discuss, how to move forward and how to start shifting one's perception, So, but that's all starting up in the new year.
Okay, great. I'm going to look into one of those too.
Yeah, great.
I have to keep going.
You have to keep going.
Yeah. I have big plans.
You do.
So let's talk a little bit about the Genius Code. That's your newest venture.
Yes. So I'm working with a doctor in Spain, Dr. Jussi Erikainen, and he's a cardiologist. And we are working on going deeper into reprogramming and rewiring the brain. And so we're using brain entrainment.
Oh.
And what we're doing is we're helping people find out more about their genius. So we take them through a process where they, discuss their dreams, their ideal worthy goals, and at different areas of their lives where they have talents and gifts that they want to express. And once they write out their script, we then add theta, delta, and alpha waves. And so this brain entrainment technique crosses the conscious barriers of the mind. See, our conscious mind is always putting up filters.
Right.
And so even when we repeat our affirmations and we put energy and enthusiasm into them, and we, those really help us and they work, but there's, something on a deeper level that we resist. So it could be what's called a core fracture or a wound or a story that we're not ready to let go of. And the conscious mind is going, it's putting up its radar and saying, danger, 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 danger. We don't want to go there. We don't want to change. We don't want to change.
Yes.
And so with the brain entrainment program, you listen through headsets, and it's called binaural beats, and it creates a response, a following frequency response, and it drops in your affirmations when you're in a theta state or a delta state or an alpha state where you're much more receptive.
Right.
And then when you listen to that daily, it starts to take root.
Right.
It starts to become what's called praxis. You start to integrate your belief with your behavior.
Oh,
you see?
praxis.
Right. And then
It's a new word.
you start to walk your talk.
Right.
Okay.
Belief with behavior.
Yeah.
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 That's great. So are you starting another one of those next year as well, or when is that?
Yeah, we'll be starting another one of those as well in January. And people can also buy the Upgrading Your Signature Frequency program right now until the new year at our pilot program rate. So,
Oh, okay. And there's also like a free Unlocking Your Genius code that you can opt in for, a free ebook that you're offering. And I'm going to put that link in the show notes.
Great.
So it's Barbara Daoust, BarbaraDaoust-TIR.com. That's the Thinking into Results. That's where you can get in touch with Barbara. And then the UnlockingTheGeniusCode.com is the free ebook. But before we let you go...
Unlocking Your Genius Code.
UnlockingYourGeniusCode.com. But before we let you go, I need to ask you our sound, mind, and body questions so we get to know Barbara a little bit better. So how do you stay of sound, mind, and body?
I have a morning routine, a morning ritual, and it's basically I write out my day and I meditate, as well as I write my goal statement every single day with my left hand, my non-dominant hand.
Oh, really?
Because I'm creating new neural networks. It's always, this is called neuroplasticity. It's to keep the brain healthy and to keep the brain growing. So I do that every day, and I read 15 minutes. So that's the first thing I do every day before I start working.
That sounds great.
Then I walk every day. And since I've been doing my Genius Code, I've just been more on fire to...
listening to it while you're...
Yep, listening while I'm walking, and even doing more and longer walks as a result of it. And then in the evening, I'm always in a practice of gratitude before I fall asleep. It's what I really write down what I want my subconscious mind to be working on as I'm sleeping. So I acknowledge successes for the day. I ask, am I set up for success tomorrow? Okay. First thing I do when I jump out of bed is I ask Spirit to guide me to use all my gifts and my talents for the day. And then I walk into my office and say, am I set up for success today? And then from that place, I'm much more organized, much more focused. It's, order is really important to the conscious mind so that we don't go into overwhelm. And these are just structures and systems that I put in place for myself.
I like that. I might have to change some of my morning routines. So, okay. So what is a favorite sound of yours?
One of my most favorite sounds is waking up and hearing birds chirping outside my bedroom window.
I love that too.
Yeah, I just love it. Except I have an annoying mockingbird sometimes during the year, but I've learned to love that mockingbird as well.
Right. The mockingbird might be telling you something.
Yeah. I just love it.
Okay. So a favorite memory?
I have so many, it's really wonderful. I think one of my favorite memories is at a young age, I directed a show that was brought to the Kennedy Center, and it was 3 nights at the Kennedy Center and a standing ovation every night.
Oh my gosh, gosh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. That's a big part of me of where I love to pull performance out of people.
Yes.
And so that's part of my past that never went away. Mm-hmm. That's where I
still use it in the coaching.
I still use it in the coaching. I just love to pull performance out of people.
That's why you're so good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, a favorite place?
Paris.
Yeah. Paris.
Yeah. My late husband and I celebrated many anniversaries in Paris, and we did have the intention of retiring to Paris at one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lovely.
I just love it.
Oh. Okay, so the final question, what's the most woo-woo thing you've ever done?
I've done so many woo-woo things that I don't think are woo-woo anymore because...
Yeah, exactly.
Because I really believe in energy. So even when I think about what's the most woo-woo thing, it's like I can't even say it's woo-woo to me.
Right.
But I would say that maybe the most woo-woo thing was that when I was 21, my mom brought me to, she went to see a psychic tarot card reader and palmist. And the palmist read my palm. And I have one of those palms where I have one line for the heart line and the and the mental line. Uh-huh. Right, your head line and your heart line. And I have one line, and I didn't like that I just had one line and that everybody else had two lines, So yeah. I think the most woo-woo thing is that after that, I grew another line.
Did you really?
Yeah. I have the ink prints that she took.
Oh my gosh.
And there wasn't a second line. There is now.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of woo-woo.
That's very woo-woo. One of my guests I'm going to have on in a few weeks, my friend Orna Walters.
Yeah.
Do you know Orna?
I know Orna.
Okay, yes, Orna and Matthew. I'm going to have them on.
They're great.
And she is a hand reader.
Yes, she's fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. That's right. I just realized that you know them.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to be in this whole series as well.
Fantastic.
Well, Barbara, I cannot tell you how wonderful this has been to have you here. And I can't wait for the next course I'm going to take with you. Because just being in your presence, I get inspired again. And I need it. I need it every day to accomplish these things. So,
because you're going places.
I'm going places. And it's because I took the step and I committed to doing the 12-week course. One of the best things I've ever done. I highly recommend it to anybody who can do this. Go to Barbara's site. It's Barbara Daoust, BarbaraDaoust-TIR.com. Go to her site. Just do it. Change your paradigm. Change your life. Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you, Sheila.
So that's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. And please subscribe if you haven't already. And if you like the podcast, give us a review on iTunes. It really helps new listeners find us. Thank you to our producer, Tim Edwards, and the Inbound Podcasting Network. Get in touch. I'm on Instagram at Shishi Melody, on Twitter at Sheila Melody 1, or find us on Facebook. Search for Sound Mind Body Podcast. I'm Sheila Melody. Join us next week as we explore, enlighten, and evolve.